Thank you, Amy, for that introduction, and thank you all for being here with us. So let me get some notes back up here. Well, engineering over here. Okay, as you said, we're here today to prove to you that you can take legacy equipment like these serial connected devices, UNS enable them, and integrate them with the cloud, and get those benefits without breaking the bank. We're going to show you a system where we take this Andon board, serial connection, UNS enable it, and get the data into the UNS, as well as receive production data from the UNS. We're going to take this PLC, also serial connected, not using Modbus, using an old native PLC protocol, because the engineer does not want to have to go look up all the Modbus addresses. Same thing. Get data back to this to indicate the line. We're going to UNS enable this camera here and feed that through the UNS. We're actually going to feed image data through and up to Google Vision, which was one of the APIs you saw earlier. Process that to determine, am I wearing a hat? Are they wearing a hat? Whoever's in the camera is wearing a hat. So, and if an unsafe condition exists, this will say no hat line stop. Stack light's going to go red because we're stopping our line. Okay? This only took 16 hours to research, design, implement, and test, and cost $450 a month on a subscription, or you can buy a perpetual license for the software for around $15,000. So there, I've already taken care of two of the rules, and we'll get into that in more detail later. Before we get started, I want to thank the entire team at Prove It for doing this. I also need to give a shout out to Sulzer Consulting and Vorn Industries for loaning us this Andon board. So, my name's John Weber. I'm the president and founder of Software Toolbox.
My name's Win Worrell. I started in tech support, and I currently lead our technical sales and solutions teams.
My name is Rodrigo Restrepo. I also started in the technical team, and now I'm one of the technical leads. Internal systems, got a couple of other roles in our company, and I've been at the company for about 7 years now.
And my name's Ryan Royce, and I started my career here just under 2 years ago in tech support, and now operate as a solutions consultant.
Thanks, guys. You know something in common there. They all started their careers in tech support. I started mine 35 years ago at GE Fanuc in tech support. We added it up, and there's nearly 70 years of combined technical experience here. Everybody on this team that's up here. So, we're going to go into roles, and we're going to do a little something different here. Ryan and Rodrigo are going to remain Software Toolbox. Win and I are going to switch over, and we're going to become part of this mythical company called SWTB Printing. And this is a hypothetical company in Charlotte, North Carolina that, well, like it sounds, prints things. I'm the plant manager, Win's my plant engineer. So as we enter our story, Win and I have already had a meeting with their team. And we agreed that Software Toolbox is going to create a proof of concept based on some challenges that we gave them. Rather than me tell you that challenge, since we already had this meeting, I'm going to hand things over to Ryan while Win and I switch roles, and Ryan's going to recap what the problem we're here to solve is. Thanks, Win.
Mm-hmm. Yep, thanks, John.
You're welcome.
So, in our last meeting, we had heard that you heard of a UNS and some modern technologies, various acronyms like MQTT, OPC, but you mentioned you had this, in your own words, older legacy hardware, and you were concerned that it wouldn't be able to integrate with a UNS in the modern approach. You shared that you'd be thrilled if magically you could keep what you had in place and integrate with the UNS. You said that you were also curious about AI and the advantages it could bring, and you shared a specific use case that I'll get into. But again, you were worried about, would this stuff be able to integrate with it? You also mentioned that you were tired of the salesy approach, people telling you it was easy, and then bringing you a solution that cost hundreds of thousands of dollars and required to rip and replace what you currently had. You said you want to start small, show value, and grow over time. That was pretty clear. Your use case that you shared was that you wanted to use AI to see if operators were complying with safety regulations, instead of having someone manually watch at all times. You showed us the old Andon board and the PLC and light stack. And you said that you'd like to have data come from the UNS and be shown on the Andon production board instead of the custom code solution that was in place currently, because the guy left a few years ago and you felt stuck with it. So as an example for the proof of concept, you wanted to see if someone was wearing a hard hat or not within a specific zone, and if they weren't, to stop the line. Does that sound about right?
That is right. I will mention one thing. We had heard about UNS. We actually, since our last meeting, have had a very large printing company come to us. They want us to do work for them. Man, this is a great opportunity for SWTV printing. But they've told us we've got to pull data from their UNS, but also push data up to their UNS. They want to see what's going on in our business. So something I'm hoping as we go through this, and we'll be able to talk about that. They also threw out some things about integrating with ERP, SAP, pulling orders. I know that's not, I don't expect to see that in the POC, but man, if that's something that could be, we could evolve into, definitely like to talk about that.
Yeah, and I think one of the products that we'll show you in the POC, Cogent DataHub, will be able to accomplish that. So if we have time, we'll cover that at the end.
Okay, all righty. Well, where to from here?
Yep, so we have kind of an overall architecture of what we're going to show you in the POC. We'll come back to this at the end, but rather than explain it in full now, we're going to go through the 5 working steps so you can, and then do a system test at the end.
Okay.
And then to help our audience follow along, would you mind showing
do
this?
something with these?
Yeah, so those are going to have the 5 steps on them. So as we go through, if you could just turn that around and get rid of it, show the next one.
Okay, so it'll be like a boxing match here.
Yeah.
Hopefully Walker's not going to come up with a club and hit us. So I guess this is what you're going, you go ahead and this is what we're going to do first?
Yep, that's step 1. So the first step is we're going to be using this off-the-shelf camera, the one that you had on your desk at our last meeting. Okay. We're going to capture images from this and set them up into the UNS. So Rodrigo, I'll let you take it away.
Yeah, definitely. Let me show you. So when Ryan brought this challenge over to us, pretty much we're trying to discuss, okay, so they want to pretty much use the AI capabilities to see what we can do with that image. So the first challenge was pretty much trying to get an image up into the UNS, right? So and when I started looking at the toolbox, and we start looking at what solutions can do this, Cogent DataHub provide us the capabilities to integrate with that simple webcam that you guys pretty much have. So let me show you really quick how that works. So this is pretty much Cogent DataHub. Watching the screen. What? I think I need to show this.
Hey, Wayne, get over here. Let's watch on this screen here. Yeah. We're going to crane our necks.
There we go.
Let our friends out here watch on the big one.
Yeah. So in Cogent DataHub, it has a plethora of plugins that allows you to connect to other things. But in this case, we're interested in the camera capabilities. So in this case, we can pretty much, it's just simple. It detects the peripheral that is connected to this laptop. We're connected via USB, so we select that. We tell it the resolution we want it at and how fast we want to take that frame, right? So we're just taking screenshots and we're taking it every second because you're pretty much talking about, hey, we want this to be as fast as possible. Sure. We just pick 1 second for this scenario. And it allows us to pretty much expose all these other points. We're only interested in the image and whether the camera is enabled or not. Right, okay. So that's the only 2 points I'm enabling in here, and I'm putting in this. One cool thing that DataHub allows you to do is put things in little buckets. In this case, they're called domain, right? Domain buckets. And what I'm putting is under the camera bucket, and we'll get to see that in just a second. So once I connect, I enable and click apply, and go to view data. And I go to that domain that we just created within DataHub, camera, go to camera, that's the 2 points, right? So if I go ahead, let me expand
big ugly
this
thing
here.
there.
Yeah,
Value.
It is. So this is what DataHub is pretty much doing is taking the screenshot and coding it in base 64 is just a hash algorithm that it uses.
That makes sense to you?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. I got plans around y'all.
Yeah, but the way we know that there is a new screenshot being taken every second is the timestamp. So in here we see that timestamp changing every second. Okay. So that was the first part. So now we have that image within DataHub. how can we push this to the UNS? Well, we use the MQTT client capabilities of DataHub to push that to the UNS. In this case, we're pushing to the balancer infrastructure. And in DataHub allows you to pretty much browse all the points that you have created within DataHub and then just browse it, select it. In this case, we just want the image. That's what we're sending, and we're sending it to this topic into the UNS, right?
Okay.
So if I were to go to your UNS and take a look at it under press software toolbox, press 105, we get the image right there, right? So pretty cool. So I have to use this other client to take a look at the screenshot, but I can literally just go ahead and copy this, take it to a web browser, and let me.
There we go.
Oh,
That is a screenshot, an image in the UNS. So we already have that in the UNS.
Okay.
Simple enough, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, that was great. Thanks, Rob, for showing us.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, thanks for showing us how quick and easy it really was to send that up to the UNS. So later, I know we're going to take that image and send it up to Google Vision to be analyzed, but let's transition to the next step, which is UNS enabling this older Andon board. So how do we go about that?
Yeah, so that was also an interesting challenge because whenever we're talking about digitization and modernizing systems, we have, from experience, we have other customers that do have this type of equipment, and they have to have custom code or very old school stuff that they cannot integrate with cloud systems or this type of thing with the UNS. So what we have in our toolbox to specifically talk to the board and make it UNS enable, and UNS enable in simple terms is just how can we get this to be able to communicate via a industry communication protocol, right? And for this case, we have chosen to use OPC to demonstrate how we can get rid of that custom code that you were talking about in our email exchange, and then just be able to expose that via OPC, okay? So the first product we have in the toolbox is called Cogent DataHub. I'm sorry, OmniServer. OmniServer allows us to pretty much configure that custom protocol, and let me go ahead and pull that up.
I sent you a protocol document.
Yeah, right there.
Yeah.
So that is the protocol document that you pretty much sent us on how you, exactly, to that
that
board.
company.
Correct.
Okay.
And as you can see, it's very simple. It's three boxes we got, and the only thing we care about is that parameter and which box is it going to, right? Mm-hmm. So what OmniServer allows us to do is take that basic text command, put it, it's almost copy paste. So let me walk you through it really quick. So if I go to protocols, and I go to the Vorn XL, and go to the command, let me do this. Let me put it side by side so you guys can get a picture of how simple it was. So it's almost copy paste, if you get to see that. And what OmniServer is allowing us to do is to parameterize those fields that we worry about, which is just the text field and the box, right? And once we have that protocol pretty much defined within OmniServer, then the next thing we need to do is, okay, how do we tell OmniServer you're talking to this device, whether Ethernet or COM? In this case, we're doing a serial connection. And then how do we tell it, hey, use this protocol that we just configured, right? So if we go back to the configuration window, the first thing is telling OmniServer, hey, I'm communicating via serial. In this case, it's connected to this computer as well, it's COM3, right? And the last part is pretty much mapping it. So under topics, you will tell OmniServer, hey, that device is going to use that protocol. And then we just have pretty much, because we have 3 fields, we have the actual countdown time and target, we're passing those as points via OPC. And that's what we're leveraging. We're leveraging the capabilities of OmniServer to be able to expose data via OPC, whether DA or UA, all that stuff, right?
Okay.
Awesome. Yeah, that seemed pretty straightforward, especially seeing the documentation side by side. So thanks for pulling that up.
Yep.
So moving forward, now how do we go about also UNS enabling the PLC and light stack?
Right, yeah, so the next thing is pretty much the PLC. So for this one in our toolbox, we have we had a discussion, Win and I, in an email thread, trying to understand, hey, what is the controller for the light stack? He pretty much said, hey, we just have an automation direct PLC, right?
Yep.
And one of the things is you didn't want to mess around with trying to understand the mapping, where those
No, I want to use
points
the
go.
native
Correct.
addressing.
As native as possible is pretty much what you said. So for that, in our toolbox, we have this solution called TopServer, okay, that allows us to UNS enable that PLC and being able to expose the data via OPC as well. So in this case, we're using the Automation Direct driver, okay? And then in our discussions, we discussed that this was just a simple latch, that if you wanted green, you have to set this tag high. If you wanted red, this tag high.
Yep, exactly.
Okay? And then that was pretty simple how it was configured. You gave us the addresses, we created the tags, and then TopServer allows us to just expose that data via OPC.
Great. So it seems like at this point we've covered UNS enabling their hardware using DataHub, OmniServer, and TopServer. So how do we actually go about establishing a connection with the UNS and these devices?
Yeah, so one cool thing about DataHub, and let me go ahead and close this here. One cool thing about DataHub is that when you go to the view data, it shows you data regardless of where the source is. So if I walk you through it really quick, and hopefully we can see this, we have multiple namespaces. So this is the namespace for OmniServer, where we get to pull all the tags that we're after, and the namespace for the light stack, and this is the TopServer, and I can walk you through it really quick how that works. So we're gonna pretty much use DataHub to be that data aggregator at this level to then push it to the UNS in this instance, okay? So both OmniServer and TopServer can do both OPC UA or DA, but for this specific scenario, I just wanted to show you one of both, right? So we chose to use OmniServer to do OPC UA, and TopServer to do OPC DA, which is pretty much old school at this point. So when we go to OPC UA connector, you get to see it is a simple configuration. Once we give the parameters, we can put them in there, and you can see the status is pretty much says running, and we're telling OmniServer, DataHub, hey, put it in this domain. Again, it's just a bucket of, put all this data in this bucket within my namespace. Then TopServer, very similar. We pretty much configure the OPC DA connection, and we tell OmniServer, hey, that's the server I'm communicating with. This is the bucket that I want all the data to be put into, and we run it. Okay, so that's how simple it was to get that data in there.
Hey, Rod, one quick question.
Yeah.
We've got some old OPC DA stuff, don't we?
Yeah.
Can you guys convert that if need be?
Yes.
Okay.
Definitely.
And to be clear, that TopServer can use UA because we really don't want to put in any new data.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes,
cool.
this is it.
Just
Like
wanna
I
make
said,
sure.
this is particular for this just use
Sure.
case. We wanted to give you one choice. Yeah.
They told us to do art of possible. Well, thanks, Rod, for showing
Yeah.
us what's possible.
Yeah.
Okay.
No problem.
Great. So we got it in DataHub. Where to now?
Yep. So the last part of it is, okay, now let's interact and actually push this data to the UNS. So
Okay.
again, we're going to go back and use the MQTT client. And then what it allows us to do is pretty much do a pull in this case. Instead of pushing data to the UNS, we want to pull specific data. So if I go to the pool, I'm subscribing to any topic after the enterprise Dallas press in your UNS. Okay. And I'm putting it every single topic after, from that structure, I'm putting it in the bucket called UNS-Q broker within DataHub. And again, if I go to the view data and I expand, you see everything becomes pretty much a point within DataHub. So now I can utilize that data however I want it. And in this case, and we're going to explain a little bit when we talk about the other side of things with Google, the Google Vision AI, but we created a data within your namespace to be able to consume, and you will see it right there, okay? And what that allows us to do is pretty much use the DataHub bridging capabilities to bridge the data that is in the UNS with these UNS-enabled devices.
So this is what ties the UNS to the Andon board and the stack.
Correct. Yes.
It.
So
Okay.
again, if we go back to the view data and let's say I want to go to one of these tags for this, the viewer tells us the origin. So if you see right now the text body for box number 2, so the second field right here, the second field
Is
of that
coming
board
from the
is
UNS.
coming from
I see that.
the
Okay.
UNS.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, did I miss something? How are you getting or no, that's right. We're not pushing the top server and the status of this up at this point.
Correct, we're not.
Okay.
At this
Okay,
point,
got
we're
it.
just connecting to the UNS and bringing the
Okay,
data
so
from
this
the
is
UNS so we
consumed.
can interact with that. Correct. So
See, I
it can be
told them we'd
consumed.
make sure they followed the rules.
Yep.
Okay. Wynn, you doing good?
I'm good.
All right, let's keep
Yeah.
rolling.
It's great to see how easy it is for DataHub to pull all those different data sources together into one spot. So now let's take it back to where we left the camera configuration. So we know we sent that image data up to the UNS, but how did we actually get that up to Google Vision to be analyzed?
Yeah, so that part, then we had a chance to take a look at, okay, let's do a little bit of research to see what type of AI engines are out there. And Google Vision AI was one that was very simple to understand because, I mean, it is Google, and they do have very good documentation. So it took a little bit of research to find out, but if you go to the Google pages, I mean, it kind of gives you how you can interact with it. In this case, Google Vision AI allows you to use something called RESTful APIs. It's just an API on the cloud.
You know
that
what
allows
It's a
you to
JSON
consume.
payload, yeah,
Yeah.
I do.
Jason, wasn't that part of a movie, horror movie?
Yeah, so in
You
this case,
understand it, though.
Yeah, this
Okay.
makes sense.
As long as he understands it.
right.
I got to make my plant better and make more money.
Yeah, so in this case, the Google Vision AI has the capability to do a face detection and tells us a bunch of things according whether a person's wearing a hat, if there's anything in the background, and that. For this type of POC, we focus on whether somebody's wearing a hat or not, right?
Okay.
So here, the Google Vision AI pretty much gives us exactly, hey, give me the data like this, and I'll give you a response back, okay? So for these, we look at our toolbox and we have something called OPC router. And in OPC router, one second.
Man.
No, there we go. So
I hope you guys weren't going to crash and burn in front of me.
yeah. So
I've seen
what,
a lot of demos in my career.
Yeah. So
Plant
what?
manager.
What OPC router allows you to do is pretty much use the capabilities of connecting to your broker via MQTT and then consume that image from the UNS, right? And then allows us to pretty much consume RESTful API. In this case, we're just doing what they call a post to that Google API to be able to pass that image and get a response back, okay? So it's fairly simple how you set that up. I mean, this is just configuration data. Hey, give me the parameters on how to access the UNS. I configure that. For the RESTful, pretty similar again, just give me the endpoint. Google gives you all this in the documentation I was showing you earlier. And then the next thing is, okay, let's go ahead and start setting things up, how the flow of data is gonna go. So one of the cool parts about OPC router is that everything, that it really focuses on doing this no-code, low-code type of thing, where it allows you to map data. Okay, so the first object that we use here is pretty much an MQTT trigger. This is just a subscriber. Hey, let me read the data out of the UNS. That's pretty much what it's doing. And if you see here, the topic or the data we're trying to read is that image that we push in with DataHub. OPC router has a lot of capabilities, and one of them is to be able to take that JSON payload and transform that data. Okay. So this is pretty much what we're getting from the UNS. We use the JSON transform capabilities of OPC router, and then we literally just create a JSON. This is what Google AI needs it as. And as you see here, we're just passing that, hey, give me a face detection. And this is what I was showing you earlier in their documentation. That's exactly what they needed, okay? So once we do that, then we use the REST client object, where we tell it, hey, here's pretty much what I need you to do, and we're passing you an image, is a post. Obviously, our access key is passing that request, and then OPC router wait for that response from Google AI, and it gives us a very detailed analysis. So I mean, you can see here, this is what we're getting back from Google AI.
That's a big payload.
Exactly. It is very large payload. But here's what we're interested on, because Google AI gives you a bunch of other things that it's looking at. So like detection confidence and whether somebody's wearing a hat or not or any other stuff. But for this one, again, we're focused on that hat, right?
Anger is what I'm going to be if you charge me too much for this.
Yeah, we'll talk about that at the end. And then the next thing is pretty much we got the JSON write objects and read objects that allows you to just take a JSON file, just drop it in there, and then just create parameters. So you don't have to work with a complex JSON file.
Okay.
Although some people will agree it's not that complex, but
Yep.
we're
this
trying
looks
to
good.
make it as
Looks
simple
easy.
as possible. Yeah.
So even you can do it, Wayne.
I can do this, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and then once we get that, and all we're doing with those JSON transfer objects is, again, just absorb the parameters we're interested in, and then pushing it back to the UNS. So we can leverage that interaction we have with the UNS that we created earlier with DataHub, so that we can now create this entire thing and make it do what we're looking for in doing. And the last thing, what we try to do is pretty much monitor on whether Google AI tells us, hey, yeah, somebody's wearing a hat, somebody is not. And what OPC Router allows us to do is pretty much trigger an event in case something comes. So in this case, we're sending that status to a global variable within OPC Router. And in a second connection, we're monitoring on whether that value changed or not. So if this value pretty much changed and is a false, meaning nobody's wearing a hat, we're going to be sending through the UNS the data to be displayed on the board, as well as the status that is going to set that light either green or red. Simple?
Looks good.
Okay.
Great.
Yeah, so that's pretty much how we
What was
get
that?
that.
I saw something
Yeah.
script back there. I didn't think we needed code, man.
Oh, yeah.
But Walker
So-
told us you can't make a good solution without some code.
Yeah, so initially we left it here. It was a simple if-else statement.
Okay.
But we figure a way to do it without any code. So it does have
okay.
a transfer object called
So you can do it
formulas.
either way.
And it has functions where it basically allows you to search for text and then just gives you true or false.
Well,
So
he's a
this is the
software
same
engineer. He likes to
solution.
write code,
Yeah. So this is a solution without any code. But yes, the scripting object is there in very custom cases that gives you the entire C# capability, so you can actually script or make more complex decisions. If,
So when I
if
throw some
something cannot be
curveball at
natively.
you during final implementation, if we decide to do this,
I'll write some
figure that
C# code. We'll figure it out.
okay.
Yeah.
All right, man.
Exactly.
All right, let's
Yep.
keep going because our audience
Yeah.
only got so
So
much time.
I guess the last part will be to do a system test. And
Okay.
So if you guys
So you want me to
stay
take my
with
hard hat off?
Yeah.
Let's see if
yeah.
this
Okay.
works. Oh,
There you go, and you can put it back on.
no hat, line stop. Oh,
Can we
Yeah.
see the data in the UNS too?
Yes, we can
Yeah,
definitely
yeah.
see
Let me get
that.
in
So
there
if we
and
go
try.
to the
Yeah, sure.
UNS, you'll
They
get
might
to
have
see
rigged
this.
this with you, engineer.
You get
Oh,
to
I
see
know.
this change live. So this is again the namespace where we're publishing the data under, and you get to see that pretty much just changing live.
Just saying I'm unhappy?
Yeah. So we actually, Google tells you that. This is a pretty cool detail. It tells you whether you're happy or not.
It
So
worked, Win.
That's cool.
if you want to see if your linemen are happy, there we go. You can use
Okay.
Google AI for that.
All right. Well, that's really cool. Thank you. Ryan, where do we go from here?
Yeah, so obviously this was a proof of concept, so
Yeah.
there are other considerations we would of course want to make, such as how can we reduce the number of images being sent up to Google Vision AI, just because that's per message, right?
Okay.
What if more than one person's in the camera? What if one
mean like
person's
this?
wearing our hard hat, one person's not?
Oh, guess it doesn't like me.
Yeah. And then, of course, if there's any, that was a massive payload, obviously, from Google. If there's anything else in there that would be useful to your business, so.
Okay. How much is this going to cost me? It's time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Time, moment of truth.
this comes in at $450 a month for subscription. And then we would, of course, recommend potentially a $1,500 solution services pack. That's just to get you up and running, not have you deal with the headaches of getting that started.
Okay.
So for this money, is this going to cover just the proof of concept, or can I scale this up afterwards?
Yeah, so scaling wise, it's actually no additional cost, right? Once you own the solution, 1 line to 20 lines, it's not going to change the price. So there's no device or tag limit count as far as licensing goes. Obviously, there's practical limitations, but nothing licensing wise. And then the only other added thing was the Google Cloud Vision AI. That comes in at about $438 a month if you're sending images every 10 seconds. But of course, we talked about the considerations. That could be.
Yeah, once a second, that could get expensive.
Yeah.
You guys think you could probably figure out a way to.
Yeah, I mean,
less than
some
that?
exactly. Some
Okay.
of the things that we were thinking about of suggesting is that if we only want the image to be triggered when somebody's there, so maybe we have a sensor, depending on where that camera is going to be sitting and where is it that you want it. There might be that we have a motion sensor that detects somebody, okay, take that screenshot and send it there instead of just using credits with Google
no one's
AI
there. That's
and
a great
sending it
idea.
every second. So
Okay, that's all great, but how long did you guys spend on this?
Yeah.
I mean,
So
come on.
here we have a quick chart breakdown, total implementation, and this isn't from our perspective as being
Hold on.
product experts.
we're going to see that in just a second.
Can we show that to our audience here? Be on the slides, thanks.
This is what we would expect
Thank you.
someone like Wynn, a technical expert at the plant, to take to implement. Total of 16 hours combined for research, testing and adjustments, and implementation.
And you're going to train me on how to use this software too?
Yep, so
Perfect.
part of the services that we would include in that would be making sure you're trained, know how to use the products
Great.
to the fullest extent.
Okay. Okay. All right. So you covered the cost, and go back to that thing about scaling up of this. I got a couple questions there. Can you get back to what that was? There you go. Yeah, because we got more than one press, and you said the cost addition on your software is what?
Nothing.
Nothing. Okay. What about configuration scalability? Like, that OmniServer, you were point and clicking to make those topics. I mean, wouldn't you, if you got 20 presses, you probably don't want to click that much. Maybe they have some import way?
Hopefully, yeah.
Yeah, so most of our products and all that you saw here, there's templates. You are able to templatize your configuration.
Okay.
So it's not a linear scale as far as implementation time. It's just incremental, right? Once you do
I
that
got a lot
first
for
one-
him to do, or if I'm hiring an integrator, they got a lot to do. So,
Yeah.
okay, so nothing. Sounds like nothing hiding here.
Seems good to me.
Okay. Okay. All right. So let me come back around then. Building automation. The temperature in my printing press room is really important. Any chance you guys have the ability to tie in with any of the building management system stuff into this?
Yeah, so assuming you're referencing like BACnet, you would utilize within TopServer our BACnet driver. So that would come in, if we're talking about subscription, around $77 a month additional. But once again, that's modular, right? You add it on top of what we put in place.
Okay. And I know we're running out of time. We got to get some other questions here. But what about that thing I mentioned with integrating with the ERP system with SAP?
Yeah, so OPC Router also has SAP as well as other ERP connectors like SOAP or REST, which we talked about. So adding something like that to your subscription would be around $234 a month.
Okay. Okay. Cool. And I got one last question, and then we got to move on. This whole thing of, Wynn told me I should be scared of this. Get over there where they can see you. Show them your scared face. This whole thing of integrating this partner in the network and that, I've got a tight network, DMZs, firewalls, all that. Is this something maybe we could, in a follow-up meeting, talk about, that you got something in this toolbox of stuff?
Yeah, for sure. I think you would be looking at our Cogent DataHub tunneling.
Okay.
We see that a lot with our customers.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know why that slide didn't advance, Miss AVP folks, but anyway. Okay, well, our time is up. We need to allow our MC to come back up here, and y'all can continue grilling us.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for that creative presentation. That was wonderful.
Oh yeah, we're supposed to go out a roll now. When I'm no longer going to be the customer.
That's right.
These jackets are hot.
Yep.
Now, I do want to ask the MC question.
Yeah.
What you talk about is a really common use case for manufacturers. And a lot of people are trying to solve the same problem of how do you connect to legacy equipment into a unified namespace.
Yeah.
So tell me, what is the best alternative to your solution, and why is yours better?
Well, there's several alternatives that people have considered. One is they write code, a lot of that out there. The other is they do it all in scripting and in the HMI SCADA. Some of them also use free tools out there. They're all valid, they all work. From our perspective, our solution, we believe, is better because of time to value. It's better because there's limited code, yet you have the flexibility to use C#, Python to get that last 5 to 10% that you need. But you're inside the framework of an off-the-shelf product that's product managed, quality control, tested, kept current with cybersecurity standards. Agility, we heard Walker say grow incrementally. Rodrigo didn't even get into all the other connectors. Come by our booth, 31, over around the corner, and see all the other connectors that you can just add in and turn on as you need. Fourth reason is everything we do, I'm the founder of this company, everything we do is open, hardware agnostic, vendor neutral, and it's built for OT. So there's native features for high availability, redundancy, store and forward that we expect in the critical OT world. And the last piece is service and support excellence. 97% of Software's Toolbox's customers, Amy, tell us their experience working with our technical teams was awesome or excellent. So I'll let the customers speak for themselves.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna take now some of the questions from the audience. So we're gonna start with the highest rated one.
Do it.
Which is top server
Yes.
Kepware? Interface is the same.
Software Toolbox, the general manager of Kepware's in here. You can go quiz her. Sam Elsner's in here, they're over there. Software Toolbox started working with Kepware in 1996 when we were founded and they were about a year old. We created a white label version that releases the same day as theirs. You can go make me prove it by going and looking at our website where we released a version this morning, and so did they release 617 R2, all at around 8 a.m. Eastern time today. So they produce a great technology that we've used for years and helped a lot of customers with. Our strength at Software Toolbox is the whole portfolio, the whole story we're trying to share, that we're not just an OPC server, nothing against our friends at Kepware, but we do all these other things. And we're here to solve problems and talk about problems. So.
Thank you. All right, next question.
Yep.
Does Software Toolbox support Docker?
Well, Software Toolbox is our company,
Right,
just first of all, is a portfolio of products. That's a branding thing. After 30 years, we're still trying to get people to realize. But when you want to take this on which
The
product
answer is some do and some don't.
Okay, well, which one does?
Currently, OPC Router does, and it's in the pipeline for some of our other products as well, though. We know Docker and containerization support is important, and we're definitely making sure it's in our pipeline of supporting
Rodrigo,
it in the
haven't you been
future.
supporting a big tier one automotive manufacturer who's doing Docker deployment of router right now?
We're seeing that in this industry now that IT has got involved more and more. And I mean, they love the Docker deployments, right?
Yeah.
They'd rather use a YAML file than just going clicking and doing all that. So yeah, like Wen said, router is one of them, and the other ones are in the roadmap because we're your advocates. So we're pushing these development teams and even our own development team. Hey, guys, this is what the market is looking for. So those things are in roadmap.
Okay.
Awesome. All right, next question. All right, as you said, there's a lot of tools that you guys offer.
Yeah.
Which one is your favorite?
Oh, me and Rod we argue about this all the time.
Oh my
My
gosh,
favorite
yes.
is DataHub, and his favorite's OPC Router.
Yep.
And we constantly are going back and forth with which tool is better. And I mean, honestly, they're both great tools, and it really depends on the scenario you're trying to solve.
Every one of their applications is not the same.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And they actually got into this debate with a new hire in December who asked it. And I wish I could have had a video running or sold tickets to watch them. But in the end, that's where you ended up. So,
Cool. All right, we have time. Oh, actually, I have a bit of time. Awesome, we'll keep going. So, another question.
yeah.
How much internal image processing capacity is available? Stuff like edge finding and pre-sending to Google.
I'll say we're not doing any edge processing of this. We're literally
Right
taking
now,
it,
at this point.
we're taking just an image and sending it directly to Google.
So one of the considerations, we talked about other things was, there's toolkits we could get to do some object detection, and maybe before we send that base 64 image up, make sure somebody's actually standing there. There's open source stuff out there. That was one of the things in the role play. We said, hey, we ought to look at this. So
Right, you don't want to send empty images to Google and spend money on that.
Yeah.
can we cover that one right there, please? It's at the top right now. It's got
all right.
6 votes.
So,
Because this was also asked earlier.
okay. Are you saying that Cogent DataHub inside your product can convert photos and video into MQTT to publish it to the UNS?
Yeah, so the DataHub only cares that if whenever you connect the camera to the system, if you can find it in Device Manager, that's a peripheral. So then DataHub pretty much can connect to it and take frames as fast as you want it. So in our use case, we just took this webcam and, hey, every second give me a screenshot. That's pretty much what we're doing here. And that's one of the capabilities DataHub have. And with the MQTT client, that's how we're doing it. Because once the data exists within DataHub, namespaces, no pun intended there, we can then utilize that data and then push it to any other destination. In this case, is the UNS infrastructure that we have in here.
Okay. One other thing, I wish somewhere this is on my laptop, John the Pack Rat. He and I did a demo. I was flying to South Africa. I was going to demonstrate when DataHub added the ability to stream video. Okay, so the other part of the answer to your question directly, whoever asked that, it's not just stills, it's video.
Yep.
We did a streaming demo where I was in flight over the Atlantic Ocean on Delta Wi-Fi with my laptop. He was in our lab with a big TV with a clock on it with the seconds ticking. And we streamed that video. I took my iPhone and videoed that and did like this around my seat so you could see there was no smoke and mirrors. I'm on an airplane here. We then did the same thing the next 2 days later in South Africa on hotel Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Wow.
And you could see the second clock updating.
We have a bunch of geeks in our tech support team, so they also
Proud
use
ones.
it. Yeah, they also use it to monitor snow. So they just put a webcam up on the windows, and if there's snow in Charlotte, which is not much.
Or when I beat Ryan in fantasy football, I'll troll him and send him images.
Okay, I'm going to get 2 more in here. We got 1 minute, so go ahead.
All right. Can DataHub do store and forward?
Absolutely.
Both DataHub and router can support store and forward.
Yep.
Yes.
Natively features, you just turn them on. If you want to come by the booth, talk about it. There's a little added cost on that, but it's buy what you need.
All right.
Go ahead, last one.
Last question. Can you remind us what was the cost of the $15,000 you mentioned earlier?
Sure, I know we gave you a lot of information. That's the perpetual you own it license. So if you choose to go perpetual, that $15,000 includes all the licenses, first year maintenance and support. If you want to renew it, it's about $2,400 a year. Alternatively, you can go subscription at $450 a month, which is around $5,400 a year. Okay? Your choice. We're here to work with you in the model you want to work. And I'm going to go jump ahead. Yes, there's trial license available for all these. They run for a couple hours, but these fine people will be glad to give you longer term trials.
Definitely.
Come down and talk to us at our stand. You got to go out here around and around and around over to the furthest dark corner. But we're there. Come play with the
They saved
demo.
the best for last. That's what that is.
Come play with the demo. Oh, and you can win a 65-inch TV.
Yeah.
We will ship it to you as long as it's in the lower 48 states. You got to come over, play with the demo, scan a QR code, and register. Thanks,
Awesome.
everybody.
Thank you
It's been a great
so much,
audience.
Software Toolbox.